Welcome. So, I'm Caroline Best, founder of the Tao of Horsemanship. I don't know how many of you are familiar with my method of training. I've been around for, 25 years now, believe it or not. And before I became fully committed to the Tao of Horsemanship, you guys might have met me at some of the expos under the name of Caroline Ryder, my previous married name. I've remarried, but I did not go to Best Horsemanship. Wouldn't that have been funny if I changed Rider Horsemanship to Best Horsemanship? So the Tao Horsemanship's always been around. I'm a practicing Taoist, and so my lifestyle and work with animals follows the flow of nature, the flow of the universe. So that's where we're going to get into the relationship-based horse training, and what it's all about. And I've broken it down to three core training pillars, which I'm going to introduce to you all, and then three core training principles. And when you combine the three pillars and the three principles, anything and everything can happen in horsemanship, honestly. So if you've ever seen my free training videos or just lifestyle videos with my horses on my YouTube channel, or you've seen me at the expos, or you've joined my program, or wherever you've seen me, you'll see that relationship working, whether it's with my horses or the horses that I'm working with, so to speak. All right. So you're going to learn how a proven, and it is a revolutionary method of horse training, works for every horse in every situation. And the reason why I say that again is I'm going to demystify a few things for you all and really get down to the core, like I said, core pillars and core principles to why this works. And when you see it, you're going to understand why so many other things don't work for horses. And the biggest area I want you guys to take notes on or remember, and I'm going to be bringing this up often throughout this webinar, is the horse's nervous system. That is like the secret sauce to everything. And I'm going to expand on the nervous system, especially when you want connection, you want relationship, you want an opportunity to have a conversation with your horse, to communicate with your horse. Without a healthy regulating nervous system, and I'll talk more about that in this presentation, your horse isn't present. They are not going to be able to engage and connect with you in this way, in the relationship, in the partnership. And that's one of the biggest areas that is missing still to this day in horsemanship. And I'll explain more in just a little bit. So what this presentation focuses on is my training system, which is my Dream Riding Partnership program. And this is where you can achieve the relationship and the riding partnership of your dreams. And it's not just your dreams. It's not that the horse dreams about this, that's for sure, but it's what the horse needs. And this webinar will help you understand that even more. Like I said, if you've seen me around with the horses, you'll see the connection that I'm talking about, and not just in the relationship and the way the horses look at me and want to be with me, but it's the ease of the way we work together. So this webinar schedule, hopefully it takes only 40 minutes. It always takes longer though, especially when we start answering questions. And if you have any questions, just let me know, interrupt me, unmute yourself. I'll do my best to keep my eye on the chat. And we do have a few submissions that we'll save towards the end. And then please stay until the end. We're going to have, as I just said, Q&A, and I'll have a few specials for you. All right, so let's get started. So this is going to be about how relationship-based training works, why it's the most compassionate, safest, and effective training method, how it works for any horse, that's so key, and how you can learn step by step. So this is me with Lovey. This is one of the many horses I've had, and this is what we want to achieve, I think, right? I mean, I believe so. Like, I want to be able to tack my horse up at liberty, and I want my horse to want to be tacked up. I want my horse to want me to get on them. I want my horse to want to work with me. So this is a typical expression and a typical behavior, so to speak, of any horse when you're working in my method. This is what you can achieve. You're going to want the hugs. You're going to want the softness in the eye. You're going to want the horse to trust you. This is trust. It doesn't get any better than this, right? My horse is not standing there frozen, nervous. They're not tied. And so all these photos that you're going to see in this presentation, except for a couple of them, which are the opposite of what I'm teaching or training, you want to achieve that. You want that with your horse. That is the utmost safety. When your horse feels safe enough to be with you, like Lovey does, close her eyes and let me be her eyes. And when she is that relaxed and happy, I mean, what else is there, right? Everything's going to be easy. Everything. When you have this entry point, as I call it, this is your entry point. And we'll talk more about what that is. All right, so maybe you're here because your relationship needs serious help. You have no connection unless you use food. Your leadership lacks clarity and confidence. Your partnership is without joy. What is joy? Are you smiling? Is your horse bright and happy? Is there expression in their face and in their movement? You and your horse are inconsistent. You have good days and bad days. You and your horse lack self-confidence. Your horse is unpredictable, easily triggered. You want to better understand them. You're done with forceful training and want a better way. So definitely leave in the chat area. If you guys have anything specific that you want me to focus on while I'm giving this presentation, I will definitely be able to circle back to you and explain anything in this presentation and how it's going to help you in any situation. So regardless of where you are with your horse, you're going to learn how to solve any behavioral issue. And I am a rehab and foundation specialist. I'm also a working equitation certified instructor and trainer. So this stuff I'm going to be teaching you, showing you, can work for everyone. You're going to learn why and how. So this means no force, no fear for either one of you, no submission, no coercion with treats. And best of all, we want this to be the least stress possible. Doesn't mean your horse isn't stressed, doesn't mean your horse doesn't come into the situation with triggers. It's how you learn to handle that and help your horse de-escalate. And we're going to talk about that, de-escalate. So this is how you're going to learn how to develop yourself, your horsemanship, and your horse simultaneously when you follow my method. So the 3 pillars of relationship training, as I mentioned earlier, the 3 pillars of my method. When you follow my 3 pillars of training, you and your horse together will transform into a calm, confident, connected, happy, and safe partnership. And those 3 pillars of my training system, my training method, my big programs, all the same thing, is holism. I have a holistic approach to the technique, to the mechanics. Remember, I'm a working equitation instructor and trainer. All my horses learn the basic fundamentals of dressage, whether they're reining, jumping, cowmanship, trail riding, everybody is going to be learning the same foundation. And then there's the horsemanship aspect. What is that? It's basically learning the skills. But the skills don't mean anything, or the technique doesn't mean anything, should I say, to your horse if you don't have a holistic approach. And part of that holism is the relationship. That's why this is a relationship-based training approach. It's a relationship approach. So we want to look at the horse holistically. We want to show them how much we care. We want to learn how to evaluate them. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. We want to bring that level of holism, that holistic approach, into all of our technique and our mechanics. As I always say, I want meaningful mechanics. It has to have meaning, it has to have purpose. for me and the horse. What's the purpose for the horse? It's always relationship. Relationship motivates the horse, number one. Horses are one of the most sophisticated and intelligent social creatures on this planet. They are emotionally intelligent and they are socially intelligent. They have so much to teach us in so many ways. And then third is science. And what do I mean by science? I'm going to focus specifically on the nervous system and the neural pathways and rewiring the nervous system and the neural pathways in the brain. Yes, I'm a rehab specialist. This is what's missing in all of today's training. Nobody's focusing on the nervous system.
Right, 100%.
So here's a holistic approach. Holism is about considering the whole horse and rider. It's you too. So the beauty of my program, the complexity of it is it works on you. There's a lot of personal development and growth, especially coming from the spirituality of horsemanship, which is the first course in my program. And we'll get into that a little bit later as we dive into the program. But I want to talk to you a little bit about what it's about and why it works and teach you about why it works. So this is about you too, though. If you're considering the horse this way, you're going to have to consider yourself. If you don't help yourself, you can't help the horse. And a lot of my students want to help the horse, but they're stuck themselves, within themselves. Their nervous systems are dysregulated. They are not emotionally agile. They have triggers. They have trauma. I mean, we all do. We all do. How do we work through it, get through it, release it, become who we need to be for ourselves and for our horses? This is part of the journey. Holism teaches you how to be a horse listener so you can read, understand, and assess your horse's well-being, how they show up and feel in every interaction training. I mean, this is the holy grail. This is it. This is why you're here, I assume. This is the essence of who I am and what I teach. That's why the first course of my big program begins with the spirituality of horsemanship and focuses so much on chakras and energy and release and rehabilitation. And we'll talk about this a little bit more and why it's so important. I just wanted to give you, a quick rundown. So an example of using a holistic approach to your horsemanship, simply put, is considering the horse. How they show up in your interaction tells you how they feel about the experience. It's no different than reading your best friend or whoever you care about or you're concerned about. You're reading their face, you're reading their eyes. It's no different with the horse. You're always going to be looking at the eyes. That's the first indicator of how your horse feels. It's always around the face. Then it's the lips. It's the muzzle. Is it pursed? Is the bottom lip tight and sucked up? Where are the ears? And then you'll look at the rest of the body. But the eyes are the windows to the soul. So looking at your horse holistically, assessing them, evaluating where they are, every interaction. So that means when I walk out that door and I come down to this barn and I'm saying good morning to my horses, I'm looking at them and they're looking at me, and I'm reading them and they're reading me. Yes, that's exactly what's going on. And that's the language of Equus. That's also, this program's very comprehensive. That's also what it's doing for you, is it's teaching you how to speak their language, which is being really tuned in to them, tuned into yourself and tuned into them. And then we're going to talk again about the nervous system regulation and the frequencies of energy, which science has proven. They're real. So assessing your horse, which is the holistic approach, is what I call the entry point of your relationship, where connection and conversation are key to building trust, understanding, respect, leadership, and true, authentic partnership with horses. And I say true, authentic partnership because how many trainers are out there saying, oh, I got great partnership with my horse. Look what I can make them do. Make them do. We're not here to make anybody do anything. We're here to get in to the horse's heart through relationship and trust and respect so that the horse is motivated to want to be with us and motivated to work with us. Now, don't get me wrong. You got young horses. They're like young kids and young puppies. I mean, they go through their maturation periods. You have an older horse that's got triggers. Yeah, we got to work through all that. And that's what this presentation is going to show you, and that's what the program is designed to help you with. So, as I say often throughout so many of my videos, 75% of any solution is awareness. 75% of any solution is just being aware that there's a problem. You may not know what it is, you may not know how to read it, but something doesn't feel right and something doesn't look right. Listen to your gut. That's part of the language of effortless. Pay attention, listen to it. You can call it intuition, absolutely. Do not dismiss it. So if you're tuned into your horse and aware, you're well on your way to reading them, understanding, and diagnosing. You will need help along the way, and that's why I created my big, beautiful Dream Riding Partnership program to help you and your horse achieve the level of relationship and working partnership you both need and want. And I say want. There's so many interesting debates out there, depending on what forum you choose to join, about, do horses really want to be ridden? Do horses really want to work with you? Well, in my understanding of horses, which has been a lifetime and 25 specific years dedicated to this career with a huge focus on wild feral horses, yes, horses are harmonious. And in the wild, they are harmonious because they intrinsically, instinctively are designed to work together. Big difference is they get to choose who they want. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the 3 F's with horses, the 3 basic needs, the 3 F's. It's friends, forage, and freedom. In the wild horses get to choose their friends, they get to choose their freedom, and they get to choose their food. Those are basic needs to a horse's well-being. And what do we do when we domesticate them? We take all of that away, for the most part, unless, you have a situation where they're in your backyard like they are mine, and you can design it the way you want. But most boarding facilities don't give a shit. They just want your money, and you're kind of held prisoner that your horse is in these prisons. And I do understand that they don't want to turn horses out because the horses are not well socialized and yada, yada, yada. I get all of that. I mean, there's such a universal change that needs to happen for the horse. It's just absolutely overwhelming. But we can do our best to help them with friends, forage, and freedom, no matter where they are. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because they choose friends. They choose partnerships over leadership by far. They want the harmony. And the reason, the science behind all of that is it's a nervous system regulation. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with nervous system regulation, whether it's parasympathetic nervous system or sympathetic nervous system. One is self-preservation and instincts, when the horse is really on adrenaline and doing everything they can to just survive. That's one nervous system. And that specific nervous system is the sympathetic nervous system. So anytime your horse is triggered, nervous, shut down, on self-preservation, they are in their survival mode. There's not much you're going to be able to do, including training. Now, we're here to get these horses in their parasympathetic nervous system. This is where the wild horse lives 99.9% of the time. So the wild horses, not only are they harmonious and they choose it because of self-preservation, they need a regulated nervous system to survive. They need that. Wild horses don't panic. They aren't pacing up and down. They're not hollering for their friends. They're not buddy sour. They don't have any of these displaced behaviors we see in domesticated horses. We've created that because of the environments we keep them in. We're not meeting their basic needs. But that's okay. It's hard. I'm here to help you meet these other needs. You are going to be their best friend. You are going to be their advocate as far as their nutrition and what's best for them.
Mhm.
But getting back to why they choose partners, and I had my two late, my lab and my golden. They lived till they were 14. They were by my side every day in this business, and they were my soul, my best friends too. But I'll tell you something, my horses were just as amazing as partners. They were just as protective. They were just as willing. They were just as healing, and they were amazing teachers. I want all of you to experience this. It is a profound transformation for you personally when you get to this place, even get into this journey. You can liken it to the spirituality. It's just absolutely amazing. So this means as you go through my program, step-by-step lessons, you will use a holistic approach constantly to assess where you and your horse are, not just your horse. You're going to use this on you all the time in every interaction situation. This is the most profound piece of my method. And where I tell my students, those of you that are here, there's a couple of you, you can raise your hand in the chat. I tell them over and over and over again, slow down. When you think you're going slow, slow down 10 more times.
Right.
Because when you slow down, you become present. When you become present, you become mindful. When you become mindful, you become attuned. When you become attuned, you become a tuning fork. And that tuning fork, not only does it strengthen your intuitive nature, it also strengthens your nervous system and allow your heart coherence. We're going to talk about that, and allows you to connect with the horse where they need you to feel safe. Everything's around the nervous system, you guys. Everything you want to achieve is around the nervous system. And 98% of our domesticated horses' nervous systems are blown, shot. Doesn't mean you can't fix them. That's why you're here. So assessing your horse holistically is how you become a horse listener, a reader, and a diagnostician, problem solver. This is what empowers you, creates confidence, and keeps you safe. It's also going to help your horse. So let's see, just check into the chat real quick. Hi, Heidi. You've got a great relationship with your horses. You can ride them all. Your relationship method is very close to what I've been doing with them for the last year, and it's grown our relationship so much. A couple of my horses have more mending to do. I really want them to just be happy. I'd like to be able to teach them things without using the method I used previously. Awesome. 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 I'm glad you're here. Oh, 5 years heart math, Melissa. Fantastic. We're just going to bring it up a little bit, but my program dives into it pretty deep. Great, Heidi, taking the foundation. Love it. Awesome. Yeah, I'm a real stickler when it comes to the technique, everything in my program. It's like, I teach that I don't want you guys riding until your horse picks you up and gives you permission. And that's because you're going to be laying down the foundation for this nervous system rebuild, reboot, rewire. And you're going to do it through biomechanics, healthy biomechanics. And you're going to do it through so many different pieces of the program, but it's all going to focus on the three core pillars. We have holism, the holistic approach, the horsemanship, the technique, and then the science. When you're combining all of that or using those two with your horsemanship. And then we'll get to the three principles of training. There's many, but we're going to just focus on three. So, horsemanship, developing a level of relationship, liberty, groundwork, biomechanics, and riding partnership with your horse where you both are connected so you feel like one, think as one, and move as one. And like I said, I'm being a stickler. I want to get to a point where you saw where I was tacking Lovey up without anything on her. That is the way I have trained and retrained every horse that I've ever touched, whether they're mine or my clients. And that's within a 90-day period for my clients. We get as far as we can, depending on the horse's level of nervous system rebuild and rehabilitation. If it's not bad, wow, we can just keep moving and moving, right? And we just strengthen what we're creating the whole time. But yeah, that's your biggest test is liberty, whether you're riding bridleless, like this is back in Manchester. So this is uh, Tessa has ridden here on she's good friends with, I can't think of my old landlord's name, but she's good friends with him. But yeah, you want to be able to, you may not ever want to be able to do that, but that's your truest test. Plus liberty. Like I ask my horses out of their stalls at liberty. I groom them at liberty. I bathe them at liberty for the most part. We walk out to the training area at liberty. Hey, if something's going to go wrong, let's deal with it right then and there. And if it's too big, then we have the training areas where it is a confined space appropriately. Um, so yeah, this is really important. A lot of people overlook stuff like this. Oh, I don't need to ride bridleless. No, that's not. Yes, that's fine, but that's not the point I'm making. And you may never want to learn, all the way through to second level dressage, which my program teaches you bitless and balanced. But to get there, once you get there, you're going to have such a strong foundation on your horse, it lasts forever. And that's a key point. You can take weeks, months, and years off from riding, whether you're sick, you're taking care of people, you're raising children, having a baby. And I have so many clients who are in those situations. You can take that time off when you have the foundation and your horse is just waiting for you to pick right back up. Sure, you're both out of shape, but that's it. So this is important too. We're not going back and having to lunge our horses constantly to tire them out or having someone to exercise my horse. No, when you do it right, your horse it'll feel good and you've got to do it enough so that it's ingrained, it becomes second nature. And your horse is going to keep that because it feels good in their bodies. So we need mechanics, technique, and skill to be good at horsemanship. The difference with my method is through assessing, you never lose sight of the relationship, the connection, and the conversation. And I think that's key. A lot of my students, over the years, wow, I get caught up in the mechanics again and I've lost my horse. Now my horse is inconsistent. So this is a lot about you too, a lot of rewiring for you and doing things differently. So the science-based evidence. So here's one of the secrets, which I've been talking about already. So my program is supported by years of experience, testing, and proven results. My extensive experience with both wild and domesticated horses has allowed me to uncover the missing link in horse training and rehabilitation. And this cover stock photo does a great example because it's a nerve. So I'll be sharing these overlooked aspects of training, the missing links. I've already shared one with you, which I've shared two with you actually, which is nervous system regulation and relationship. So once you grasp what needs to be addressed in all training and rehabilitation, both you and your horse will find the process much easier. So yeah, we're always looking for regulation. So say goodbye to force, fear, and frustration. We never want to have this happen again. Never. Say hello to happy, safe, and connected partnerships. And so Smokey was one of the toughest horses I've ever worked with to this day, and I've worked with thousands. And I want to thank my Trinity, Smokey, Legend, and Sundance. They're the ones that started this whole process when I got back into horses 20 some years ago. So time to meet me. You know who I am. We can rush through this. So I teach compassionate horse owners how to develop their relationship and writing partnership of their dreams through love, leadership, and language, the language of Equus. So I'm an international clinician, working equitation instructor, and relationship rehab and writing foundation specialist. And so these are just some of my accomplishments, whether I've written articles, I've been certified, or a clinician at the World Expos. Here I am back when I was rider horsemanship at the Harrisburg Expo many times over. And I think, yeah, many times over. Yeah, many, many years. So how it all got started. So 25 years ago, I decided to turn my passion for horses into a career. I now have over 25 years of experience working with, as I said, thousands of wild and domesticated horses from all sorts of levels of experience, breeds, you name it. Gosh, look how young I am there. And what I discovered, and this is me riding Lovey, my off the track thoroughbred, and we are bitless and in a bareback. And that's what I teach, bitless and bareback. So, what I discovered before working with horses as a profession, I set out to learn everything I could. For 2 years, I took a sabbatical and I saved up my money. I had another business that I started before this in Washington, D.C., and bought my first farm outside of Salisbury, Maryland, where I graduated from college. And I basically did a sabbatical so I could run around and study and learn as much as I could. So I studied natural horsemanship, reining, cowmanship, classical dressage, centered riding, liberty, haute école, equine assisted therapy, and wild horses in their natural habitat. So I lived about 40 minutes from Assateague Island, and that was my experience working with feral wild horses. Wow. I studied them a lot in college because I was a Bachelor of Fine Arts. So I'd go down and bike and hike and rollerblade and hang out with them and sketch them. But then when I got back, and I had horses at my parents' farm, when I got back into horses, though, left my former career and got back in full time, it was amazing. That was the biggest difference I could see because I had a 25-year relationship with my late horse who was in my backyard as a young kid in Ohio. And, you don't really remember everything you did back then or how you got to do all these amazing things with your horse. Um, and when I got back into horses, it just blew my mind how distraught they were and stressed and reckless and dangerous, including Smoky Sundance and Legend. Just blew my mind how dangerous these horses were. And so that became my quest. I was like, wait a minute. I didn't have that with my late horse, and for lots of different reasons. And I don't see these behaviors with any wild horses, but I see all these crazy behaviors with all these domesticated horses. What is going on here? So that's when I discovered that there's three key principles in horse training that just weren't being taught. And they're more of a focus today. This is 25 years ago, but they're not at the level they should be. And these areas, when you focus on these three core areas that I'll be introducing a little later, you will make training stress-free. Even if it gets stressful, you're going to come right back to, nope, we're not going there. We are de-escalating the situation, horse. We are going to learn how to ground ourselves, learn how to turn that off, and get you back in your what? Parasympathetic nervous system, your regulated nervous system. What's the opposite? The sympathetic, the dysregulated, the adrenaline, the self-preservation. We don't want that. So here we go. So before training, we need to understand what normal, healthy horse behavior looks and acts like. And this is one of the biggest things I have found with my students over the years is, whether I go to work with they and their horse and I do an assessment, that's the first thing I'll do, or they come here and I assess how they work with my horses or bring their horse here. It's everybody. I'm like, just nobody knows what healthy, normal behavior should look like because you've never studied wild horses, nor have you raised a healthy young baby, or the healthy young baby has a healthy mother, which is not too often. So this photo is one of many, and this is my dear friend Janine at my place here, and she's with actually her two horses and one of mine. You've got Blue behind her, and then Lita and Callan. But there's 8 or 10 horses that are also on the other side of the camera, all hanging out, grounding. This is the way they are in my workshops, in my clinics, in my lessons. This is what you want. This is healthy herd behavior. And you are safe. So how do I know? Because these horses have been developed using my method. This means they consider us. Wow, do you ever think a horse can consider you? What do you think a mother horse does with her foal? What does she do to protect that baby and not stamp on it, stomp on it, trample it? She'll fight to death for that baby. Um,
No.
Chrissy, I'll tell you what a working equitation instructor is in just a minute. So we want the horses to consider us. I've slept with my horses many times throughout the years, literally. I usually have a cot though. I don't like to sleep on the ground for the ants, the spiders, or whatnot. And they'll lay down with me. They'll try to lay down on top of me. They'll protect me. They'll covet me, both geldings and mares. And they get jealous and possessive and fight over you. So you want them to be mindful of you. They're not going to be mindful of you if they don't care about you, or if they don't feel safe with you, or if they don't feel safe within their nervous system. They will not be able to do these things. And I want everybody to be able to experience this because this is what being safe around horses looks like. And you want to ride this mindset. This is the mindset you want to work with in training. It doesn't mean that any one of these horses couldn't get triggered, but if they trust you and you have that level of partnership, they're going to rely on you, just like they would another herd mate for safety. They're going to rely on you, and you're going to be able to ground yourself. You're going to be able to talk to them, connect to them, and say, yep, I got you. I got you. Don't worry about it. So the key word here is safety. What does that mean? It's not the basic equine psychology to nauseam that everyone's been taught. Oh, it's safety in numbers. Well, there's a reason why it's safety in numbers. When you look at healthy herd dynamics, they travel close. They graze together and they travel together because they're connecting the frequency of their nervous systems. This has been scientifically proven, beginning with heart math and heart coherence. Real quick, working equitation. Wow, it is such an adrenaline rush. It started thousands of years ago in Portugal. It was their way of working cattle. And so Iberian horses, specifically the Andalusian and the Lusitano, Iberian horses are also the Lipizan and the Arabian, so forth and so on, because of their natural conformation, uphill conformation, and ability to do advanced dressage movements to get out of the way of the bull specifically. Well, they turned it into a discipline. So if you type in working equitation, it's a huge sport in Europe, Portugal, Spain, Baroque. My dressage is more Baroque. So I've done the oh gosh, I can't even think about it right now, along with working equitation, the pole. I can't even think, my brain's so fixated on this, but the one-handed riding where you do a canter pirouette around the grocha. So I'm developing Lovey right now to get to that level to show you guys before it was smoky. And I have a video of a presentation with him back in 2012 or 13 on my YouTube channel. So the grocha. So it's all Baroque and Portuguese dressage. So it's a little more complicated than that, but it's upper level. But you don't start there, obviously. You got to develop your horse to get there. So here's the norm, and I know this is an extreme picture. Mainstream horse training normalizes stress, though. How many of us have seen horses, whether they're our horses or someone else's horses, bucking like this under saddle, or the horse doesn't act right and they get yelled at or yanked on or kicked or smacked or worse? Okay. All of this, look at the horse's eye. We're just looking for stress. This is an extreme case, but we don't want any stress. So I don't know if you guys realize this. Horses can't learn when they're stressed. We can't learn when we're stressed. We're preoccupied. We're either shut down and worried, or we're easily triggered and ready for fight or flight. So when horses are stressed, they're trapped in their sympathetic nervous system, which leads to self-preservation, period. And the sad thing about situations like this is the more pressure we place on a horse in challenging situations, the worse the behavior gets. And then most training methods suggest punishing the horse when the horse acts out. But this approach only serves to force the horse into submission. And this is what we call learned helplessness, which is the opposite of this big fight, this big buck. So, how many of you are familiar with learned helplessness? This is when the horse submits, gives in, shuts down, checks out. There's nobody there. There's more horses like that than there are horses like this. And that's because learned helplessness is more common because horses are passive by nature. They don't like confrontation, right? They're a prey animal. So they don't want to fight unless they have to. And bucking and rearing and bolting, even though that's a flight mechanism, there's still a lot of fight in there. So the instead, we should aim to de-escalate the situation. Just shut it down and stop. How many of us are taught that? We're not. Oh, the horse acts like that. Well, keep moving their feet. Run them into the ground. Oh my gosh. There's no relationship there. There's no connection there. There's no feeling of the horse there. So we want to learn how to de-escalate the situation. Help the horse relax and return to its parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes rest, relaxation, and being present. So, nervous system regulation refers to the body's ability to maintain inner balance and control so they can adapt to stressors. So, you could take a horse that worries about a particular object or area and slowly, gently reintroduce it and then take that stressor away. Reintroduce it and take that stressor away. And that might work. But in my experience, most of the time it doesn't get any better. And that's because its nervous system is just so dysregulated. It doesn't know how to get back to relaxation unless you are away from that stressor. We want the horse to learn how to relax and not be stressed. You can't do that unless you rewire the nervous system. There's no way. Point blank period. Doesn't matter how much you love them, how easy you make it, how much food or grass you give them. There are 1% cases. Yeah, your horse is afraid of the trailer. Make the trailer I don't desensitize. We're going to look at the trailer as habituation. It's just going to be set out in the pasture, and I'm going to keep feeding the horse hay in it. And it can choose to not eat the hay, or eventually it might go in and start eating the hay. So you're changing, through habituation, you're changing the experience for that horse and allowing the horse to adapt when it's ready, so you're not forcing it through thresholds. So there's lots of different ways. The program's designed to introduce all of that and help you work through and figure out which one it is, which one your horse needs. But right now we're, giving you a good introduction as to why a lot of traditional training just doesn't seem to work or last on horses, because the nervous systems have to be rewired. So here's some other examples of stress. And, I don't want to lunge a horse that looks like this on the upper left, period. I don't want a horse to move like this. Look at all this tension in the body. And the horse, I don't want to be spurring my horse. This was a screenshot that I took from a video. I'm not going to name names, but you guys will probably be able to tell who some of these characters are. But this was about a horse being barn sour and wanting to go back to the barn. So we're just going to move its feet. This is typical. Move its feet and kick it around, and make that every time it acts buddy sour. Put the pressure on it. The upper right hand corner. Why use a snap that's going to hit the bottom of my horse's chin and hurt them? And look at the horse wincing, tight lower lip. We don't want any of this. Why do we want our horses to go through these experiences? What about taking off in the left here, the middle left, pulling back as hard as you can? We shouldn't even have to experience this. If we go slow and rework some things and redo some things, we won't. Oh, that's fine, Heidi. We won't have to go through this. And of course, the lower right here, the miserable eyes, the horse is just so much tension um, in the neck, which is just really unhealthy. So these horses do not feel safe. We're told when they behave a certain way, we're supposed to correct them, which adds fuel to the fire or teaches our horses learned helplessness. It's natural, it's instinctive for them to react when they feel stressed. And so if they get stressed, just stop what you're doing and de-escalate it. Get them back to, grounding with you, to being still with you, to being quiet and feeling safe with you.
Same thing with people.
So remember, horses cannot learn, they can't think or respond when they are stressed, period. They're smart enough. If you keep stressing them and putting pressure on them, they are smart. They're going to figure out how to get you off of them. A lot of this round penning that people do where they run these horses around until the horses look at them and then like wave, I say wave the flag, I give in, I give up, and come into you. That's not real join up. You basically, the horse has figured out that if I come to you, you're going to stop putting all that pressure on me and making me run around. So we need to recognize the subtle signs of stress before it escalates. That's key. That's our responsibility in this relationship. We need to stop pushing, making, or forcing them to respond. They are born to resist pressure. Now, don't get me wrong, pressure is all around us. My mechanics and technique, we're working on rhythmic pressure, steady pressure, touching. We're working on different aids and strengths and lightness of aids, but we always want to get back to the lightest one. We just might have to get stronger for our horse to hear us, but we always want to, end up as light as we begin. So I'm not afraid of pressure. There's always pressure. I want these horses to be okay with pressure. I want to be able to crack that whip and have my horse come running to me, not away from me. I want to be able to show a ton of happiness and energy with my body and my horse go, yeah, I know that feels really good. Yes, good. It does. It does, Sylvia. Thank you. Relationship-based training does feel better. Yes. Sylvia, I think you are a student of mine. Yeah, remind me if you are, let the group know. But yeah, so we want to stop what we're doing and go back to softness. And that means we have to release our energy. Yeah, we can't be tight, we can't get frustrated. I know, but it's like raising kids. I mean, we're not perfect and we're gonna make mistakes. So we've got to be able to communicate that to our horse and say, hey, baby, I love you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to come on that strong. All right. So what is healthy? So here's a great picture of some Chincoteague, Assateague ponies I was talking about. To understand healthy, normal horse behavior, we need to learn the wild horse. There are so many fantastic social media, Facebook advocates, groups, conservation groups on wild horses. I belong to quite a few from Alberta, Canada, to the Salt River in Arizona. And they literally document these horses. Some of them set up cameras, so they are documenting them 24/7. And the horses are named, and they're doing a fabulous job letting how they're doing and what their life is like in the herd. Oh, hi, Sylvia. Yes, you are a student of my program. Yeah, good, good. Awesome. Thank you. So, so wild horses aren't stressed. So just because this horse looked up and its interest is piqued, so to speak, look at the other two. Their eyes and ears are also on the photographer. But as long as that horse, who's obviously the lead horse, because that's the horse that chose, is in charge of keeping an eye on everyone at this moment, doesn't mean he is all the time or she is. But the point is as long as that nervous system is regulated, the other horses aren't going to do anything. And that's why horses travel together. That's why my work begins close, and then we strengthen the frequency from our heart chakra, heart coherence, and our nervous system. And we want to get that strong enough so the horse can stay connected to us when we ride. Okay, so this is because they live in their parasympathetic nervous system 99% of the time. So another myth here is horses are lazy by nature, or that is a truth, not a myth. Horses don't want a job, guys. The horses, look at the wild horse, just study the wild horse. They conserve their energy so they can travel up to 20 miles a day in search of food and water. And they conserve it so that there's this 1% chance that they might have to outrun a cougar, a wolf, a bear. They have to conserve their energy, and they need to be quiet so that all of their senses are easily tuned into their surroundings. Meaning they can't be worried about how anxious their buddy is or screaming, because that's going to interfere with what they're hearing, smelling, seeing. So that's why they're quiet all the time. Pretty crazy, isn't it? And we can't say the same for our domesticated horses, because 98% of them are not quiet. So here's some photos of me with my babies. This is typical. You have Lovey hugging me after a lunging session. I brought her in. And you've got me on the upper top here riding my Legend bareback. There's a video of this on YouTube with Smokey and Sundance. Working with me at Liberty, this is a 20-acre field. You've got Zor hugging me here in the upper right. You've got Sundance stepping up to the gator and giving me permission to get on, but helping me get on. You've got Lovey down in the lower left. Here we are again, bitless and bareback. And we're doing a nice collected canter. You've got her out in the 2-acre pasture in the center here. We're doing there's a video. A lot of these are screen captures from videos. So you're going to see them interacting freely and being tacked up in 2 20-acre pastures on camera. So like I said, all of these are screenshots of videos that are on my YouTube channel. And Sundance is actually in a 500-acre field. Yeah, this was a great photo shoot. This is all on video. Yep. So if anybody was going to leave me, she would have left me, because she just is like that, was like that. So she's no longer here. So those are great examples of where you can go. So how do we change this? Here's my little Blue when he was 2, quite a big boy. We change it by changing how we train. This means we train without stress. And stress, get rid of it within you. We learned the 3-step formula for relationship-based training. You're going to learn that in just a little bit. That removes stress and creates connected, confident, and happy learners. It also means we learn how to handle our own stress. Remember, the program works on you as much as it does the horse. It's just as good for you as it is for the horse. So this is how relationship-based training works, and where the Dream Riding Partnership Program develops you, your horse, and your horsemanship together. I like these quotes. It's got to come from us to the horse. You have a responsibility, just like raising a child. Who is the instructor? Who is the teacher? Ray Hunt. Antoine de Pluvinet. Big dressage. In training horses, one trains himself. And then I wrote, horse training is more about fixing the horse. Once the horse is fixed, everything becomes easy. So how the 3 pillars work. In addition to my 3 pillars of training, there are 3 principles of training. So remember, the 3 pillars that make up my whole method. My method is 1, holistic. It's a holistic approach that you take a lens, a way of feeling into everything you do. There's horsemanship. There's a ton of technique. I love technique. I love skill. I love to learn, and I love to build. And then there's science. Why we do the things we do and why horses do the things they do. But then there's 3 principles. Relationship, relaxation, and regulation.
Yes.
So we want to make sure that everything we do, we never harm the relationship. We do everything to support the relationship. Your holistic approach is the entry point. As long as you're thinking about that horse and they can feel it in your heart and they can feel it in your intention and they can feel it in your energy, you're going to be good. We want to create relaxation always, especially when you ride the way I love to ride and I can teach you to ride in the program. The program can take you all the way to second level dressage, bitless, and in a bareback pad. You can go as far as you want because you're just going to keep refining the pillars. You're just going to keep refining the lessons. And if you don't want to do dressage, that's okay. It'll make the best trail horse go out by yourself, the best obstacle horse, the best cow horse, the best Western horse, Iranian horse. There's a little bit of all of that in there. It's a very comprehensive universal program. I told you all the different disciplines I've learned. It's all in there. Centered riding, oh hell yeah. Working equitation, absolutely. Reining, yes. Trail riding, you want your horse to be versatile. You want them to be able to handle anything. Why not? And regulation, that's the science of it all. We want a regulated horse. We want a horse that is consistent in their tempo, that moves biomechanically correct. Like Zor here, stretching out, stretching his whole top line, relaxing. When more his nose goes down, the more his hindquarters comes underneath of him. That's the powerhouse. That's where collection is created in the hind end. Stronger and the hind end is, more balanced the hind end is, horse can create self-carriage and carry themselves. You're not holding them. But the cool thing is while you're developing the biomechanics, you can't get there without healthy, regulated nervous systems. Because what's the opposite? Horse that just freaks out and speeds up, slows down, changes direction, kicks out, goes nutso in the lunge, whether it's the free lunge or online.
It's
Inconsistency is the opposite of regulation. How they work. Relationships are what motivate horses to choose us. It is the glue that binds and keeps your horse wanting for more. Relaxation allows our horses to reside in their parasympathetic nervous system where they are calm, thinking, and learning. It is also how we develop and maintain healthy, sound biomechanics. We don't want a horse traveling tense like we saw that horse in the collage on the end of that lunging circle with Pat Pirelli. What would I do with a horse like that? I'd shut it down. I'd stop it immediately. First of all, I don't want to start that way, but so many horses are triggered. So if I came to assess a horse and I asked it, I have a whole step-by-step process that you learn in the program that'll tell you right away you're not even ready for that. So I don't want a horse to escalate. That's not how I rehabilitate, that they have to escalate to that. You don't fix that. You want to fix all the building blocks before that so that never happens again. And it still will. There'll still be triggers. But if you go slow enough and you learn the building blocks that I teach, that will not happen. So that's why the riding becomes so safe, because you do so much nervous system regulation through my lunging, my art of lunging in the program. It's massive. You do so much of this connection, and the horse is just a slight little trigger from riding, but you'll be able to connect energetically and work through that whole rhythm and regulation. It sets you up for all of that. And the regulation is what makes the horse feel safe inside. Connect, learn, thrive, not just survive.
all right.
So here's a little bit about heart coherence. And we have someone here, I can't remember who exactly, is been doing, yes, Melissa, 5 years heart math. I love it. So Heart Math Institute, you can look this up online, is the one that started this whole heart coherence research. I don't know, 20, 25 years ago. And I was way into all of this before nervous system regulation, the vagus nerve came out, before any of this science came out. So, what, 25 years ago, there was no internet. So, when I got back into horses in what, 2000? Oh my gosh, there's very little internet, not like it is today. And I built my method based upon my experience with my 25 years with my late backyard horse as a child up into my 20s, my late 20s. I built my program, the foundation of it is based on that. And then I went out and learned all of this technique that you guys have heard, from centered riding to liberty to natural horsemanship to working equitation. But I didn't want to do any of that to reining. Jack Brainerd spent a long time with Jack Brainerd, advanced horsemanship, flying lead changes. I didn't want to do any of that until I felt that I had such a strong trust and relationship and connection with my horses. And it's always, you're still learning and growing all the time. I'm always growing and learning all the time, but at least I had enough of a foundation that if I screwed anything up, if I put too much pressure on my horse, I asked for too much, that I couldn't be aware of it, shut it down, say I'm sorry, don't do it again. That's where I want you guys. We're all going to make mistakes. I call them learning opportunities. It's only a mistake if you keep repeating it, which then becomes a definition of insanity. We're all going to make mistakes, but I want them to be learning opportunities where you go, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. I'm not going to do that again. And you tell your horse you're sorry, you love on them, you cry, you kiss them, whatever you need to do. I've been there, I've done it, and they know it. They know when you're sorry. It's just that they release their whole nervous system when you release the tension as well. So the findings with heart coherence, especially with horses, is, and this is what we're talking about, because heart math is all about humans too, is that the horse's electromagnetic field around its heart is at least 5 times more powerful than ours. And so this is called heart coherence and HRV, heart rate variability. Yeah. Now, this is important to know because how many of us have had like our heart has raced around our horse or horses, or we have felt the stress and the anxiety in our horse. I can remember my little Arab's heart pounding in different situations because he was so out of his comfort and I didn't realize it. Like I could feel it and see it, but I didn't know what to do. And the people I was learning from, the top of the top, obviously, you know what they told me to do, which they tell most people, move their feet, get his feet moving to get his mind. All it did was escalate my little Arab. And I mean, escalate him to the point where he was just untouchable. But you can't do that. So what we want to be able to do, and well, let's read this. How does it work? Because a horse's electromagnetic field is stronger than a human's, and it's a bigger organ, they can easily and quickly impact heart rhythms. They can also mirror another horse and human heart rate. So that means if that horse is stressed, your horse is going to feel that. Are you stronger in your relationship and ability to regulate your heartbeat? If you are, then your horse is going to connect to you. And that's what we want to get to. We want to be able to get strong enough relationship and trust with our horse and strengthen our frequency in our heart coherence, our chakra system, our energy, our nervous system, so that we and our horse can stay connected and feed off of each other in a positive way. So when horses and humans interact closely and calmly, the horse's heart rate variability, HRV, pattern becomes more coherent, consistent, and calm. It beats regular. And then there's the opposite. So positive emotions and well-being in humans lead to positive emotions and feelings in horses. Yes and no. If your horse is too stressed and they don't trust you enough and they don't have a strong regulated nervous system, they are not going to be able to adjust to you. So energy regulation is what provides a connected relationship and balanced nervous system. Does anybody have any questions real quick while I'm going through all of this? Nope, we are good. So with heart coherence, if you're stressed all the time, your horse is going to feel it, you guys. There is that 1% where the horse is really confident within themselves, hasn't had a lot of trauma or any real trauma, has a pretty regulated nervous system. There are certain horses out there, but most of them are not like that. And so your inconsistencies with your horses has everything to do with you and the nervous system. Their nervous system, your nervous system. My program's designed to work for both of you because there's meditation in there. There's the chakra system. Heidi, there's an OTB horse here that isn't mine. As soon as she goes in the round pen, she starts running around. Yes, she does. She does. That's a trigger. It's horrible. And that would be a horse that I would not work with in the round pen. If I was rehabilitating that horse, we're so linear as humans, and horses are so non-linear, right? As humans, we're focused, we're predators. Let's go get it. Horses are prey animals. They're like, oh my God, I got to look for 20 ways to get away from this. So we want to become more non-linear. My program helps you with that. And so you're learning so many valuable lessons in the program where if your horse is that out of control and you don't have the skills, and I do, but I don't want to, you can't deal with a horse when they're that crazy. So there's so many exercises and things you can do to lead up to the round pen that will help the horse, and help you help the horse with those thresholds. And so that they don't get as triggered, because you're still going to need to work the horse through those triggers in a round pen, but not like that. Not like that. It's not about running the horse around. But yeah, there's so many better, healthier ways of helping these guys. So a recap of what we learned so far. How relationship-based training works, right? A holistic approach to horsemanship is your guide. Why is it the most compassionate? You have the 3 training principles to cover it all: relationship, regulation, and relaxation. You include these in everything you do, so you create a calm, confident, connected, happy, and safe partnership. How it works? It works through the holistic approach, and it works through nervous system regulation. Literally, that's why it works for every horse. Every horse wants and needs a regulated nervous system, and every horse wants what? They want relationship. Hell yeah. So relationship and regulation are the keys to resolving any issue peacefully. Foundation is the answer to making sure what you develop lasts forever. And the program is my apprenticeship program, by the way. So in Tessa, when I was in PA, I had 2 of my apprentices. Chelsea had been with me for 5 years and Erica for 3. And Tessa was interested, but then I left, fell in love, and moved to Florida. So yeah, but you now have it online, believe it or not. You can take it as far as you want. So how the program is designed to work for you and your horse. These are Smokey and Legend back in my farm outside of Salisbury, Maryland. This was probably my 3rd year back into horses. Let's now look at the program's training curriculum, a step-by-step learning process. So the Dream Riding Partnership Program consists of 9 courses. You're going to see it. Screen captures of everything. 4 bonus modules, approximately 500 lesson videos, a manual tutorial, a 12-page table of contents, which is your guide. This is what all the lessons, the video lessons and written stuff is. It's so comprehensive, it teaches beginner to advanced horsemanship every step of the way. So why do I say it teaches advanced horsemanship? Because there's nobody else out there teaching the way I teach. And you're learning advanced horsemanship, and you're learning it at a beginner level. One of the things that really bothered me when I was learning everything, especially classical dressage, working equitation, and even reining, is there's so many fundamentals that should be taught at the very beginning of the horse's education and the human, the rider, the participant. It so much about the biomechanics. How about the nervous system regulation? So much of that should be taught at the very beginning so that the horses are developing correctly from the inside out. I say inside, the nervous system, heart coherence, relationship, the things that really matter to them, matter to their well-being. And also the physical, that's the outside. How about healthy biomechanics? I've learned the hard way. Smokey and Sundance died way too early in their early 20s from acute. Sundance was much more complicated with her Cushing's disease, and then her husband, Legend, died. She died a year later, and it was definitely the advanced Cushing's disease was triggered and complicated. And then she had ulcers, I'm sure, from Legend. But she had some acute arthritis. And I got her as a 3-year-old. She'd already been started. She was a disaster. She was at the rescue, and they were going to put her down because she was so violent. And they knew of me, and they called me, and I took her, and I gave her a year off. But she had been horribly started. Smokey had been horribly started. I was his 7th owner, and he was 4, turning 5. You couldn't ride him. So, these horses had already had a rough start and had been run into the ground. And then when I got back in, I didn't run my horses, never ran my horses into the ground. I don't have any regrets as far as being hard on my horses. But my biggest regret is I still worked with them almost every day. And if they were triggered and having problems, I would just keep working with them until we could figure out a good place to stop. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I did not run them into the ground, but what's 2 hours later? 2 hours later is a lot. And so these young horses just, I just feel horrible. So I'm bringing that to you guys. Like, there's an easier way to develop horses. Yes, we can start our young horses in so many ways, but not like that. There's no way a 4, 3-year-old, 2-year-old should be ridden into the ground every day or started for 30 days. And so it's going to show up later. There's just no way. So, and then there's the lightness of the aids, and there's there's so many cool things in the program that's really advanced. There's in-hand work, especially the biomechanics, but it's for beginners because everybody's going to be starting at the same place. Doesn't matter how much you know, you're all going to be starting at the same place. So 3 introductory models. This is huge. The Intro 1, Intro 2, and Intro 3 is a holistic horse care and wellness guide. Supplemental reading. And then this is pretty big. This is where we start to dive into slide shows and theory and principles of training. I've got a lot of podcasts. This is a pretty big one just to get you going, and a lot about the spirituality of horsemanship and the meditation and why it's so important, the energy. It starts to ease you into the energy work. And again, the science is heart coherence and nervous system regulation. So why wouldn't we want to meditate? Why wouldn't we want to bring that? Why we want to heal? Don't we want to heal our horses? How are we going to do that unless we know how to work with energy? Bottom line. Oh, good. So you're working with her in the paddock, Heidi? Good. All right, here's your 12-page table of contents, your guide. You have your training with consent course. That's part of the intro. Here's your tutorial. You have 100+ pages to print out. I need to digitize this. I'm going to work on that hopefully later this year. Your holistic horse care and wellness guide. These are like 17. This is like what everybody's asking me about: nutrition, saddle fitting, conformation. How do you introduce new horses? How do you handle vets, chiropractors, farriers, abscesses? So this is just, what do you use, Caroline, to give you a basic rundown of my, my products and why I use them and why I still use them. You have course 1 through 6. This is a step-by-step curriculum. And so the spirituality of horsemanship. Course 2 is the core training system. What's really, I don't know if you guys know much about dressage, but this is Lovey many years ago. My gosh, she's 15 this year. 7 years ago. It might have been 8. So she's doing a 20-meter canter bent in the direction of movement. I mean, that's like level 3 in dressage.
Really?
And collected, self-carriage. She's collected. And here she is, course 3, the art of lunging. Look at that top line. This is a thoroughbred. Look at that. So this is huge, the art of lunging. So it's in the lunging, we start to jump into it, and everything builds. Everything's a step-by-step process in course number 2, but we really dive into it and do some more troubleshooting in course number 3, and with gated horses. So even gated horses absolutely learn trot and canter. It's the best way to develop the gait for the gated horse. And gated horses, not by breed, but just by it's not breed specific, but all gated horses are weak in the hind end. Oh, all your horses are gated. So everybody learns the 2-beat trot, and that's where you're going to develop the hind end and the balance. They all learn the longitudinal stretch on their own naturally. It's not forced. And you're learning how to connect with that energy and embody it. Because the way I teach riding, you're going to learn on the ground first through the lunging with your horse. So you're both in sync in that energy. 2-beat, 4-beat walk, 2-beat trot, 3-beat canter. So a lot of my students don't know what a 3-beat collected canter feels like in their body because they've never ridden a collected horse. And so the program's designed to teach your horse, but teach you with your horse what it feels like in your body. So you're going to learn how to embody that. Pretty crazy, isn't it? But isn't it the best and easiest way? So you're not like forced to try to learn it and bang around on your horse's back and spook them and make them feel horrible and unbalanced. You're going to learn. You're going to develop yourself while you're developing your horse at the same time. And you're developing together. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's my life's work. So yeah, the spirituality course, this is what the program looks like. These are screen captures online. This is your left bar navigation. Course 2, there's 12 modules, 7 to 8 lessons per module. Course 3, the art of lunging, like I said, pretty powerful breakdown. You've got, tutorials for each. So like this is the art of lunging. All of this I've created. You've got tutorials for the course number 2, and tutorial and slideshows for course number 1. 4 is a real short and sweet video, but very advanced. And this is another thing people need to learn. Not wait until how many of us are just recreational riders? Who the hell wants to go take lessons at $200, $300 for a 45-minute lesson from some FEI or gold medal dressage person, and they're the only one that's going to be able to teach you contact and suppling? Or you're going to try and learn it from some of these other professional trainers out there in the natural horsemanship realm. And they're not going to teach it like this. And they're going to use bits. So you're going to learn in hand, like Lovey right there, and then that's going to transfer over and make it easier for riding, especially for the horses that have issues with contact around their pole. You won't have it in the mouth anymore, and the program teaches you how to transition your horse from the bit to bitless, so don't worry about that. And then also how to teach your horse the movement on the ground so that when you ride and you apply the same aids, your horse is going to understand. So then you have, this is a pretty big course, problem solving. So we address the most common challenges within the curriculum that most people are going to encounter. And we do it with 2 types of horses, 2 extremes. We do it with the shutdown horse and we do it with the flighty horse. So you get to see how you can take any horse and go through any of these lessons. And this is how you're going to deal with that particular horse. You're going to treat them as an individual, obviously, but they're still going to need to learn the same school that everybody else is learning. And then 6 is more problem solving, but this is 2 years of weekly recorded Q&A webinars with the students of this program. So I jump in on a weekly, bi-weekly to monthly basis where we just go get into everything from personal development to dealing with the
Focus.
barn where you're at and the friction there to just everything. It's 2 years, and there's a whole table of contents with that too. So this is why I signed up. I've never had a riding lesson, but I've ridden for years. I was looking for centered ride instruction, but couldn't find one. Yeah, that's great, Heidi. I had a centered riding and I did Mary Wanless for a while. Or started with Mary Wanless. Let me rephrase that. But I couldn't get her. I had to get one of her certified instructors in Delaware when I was in Maryland, and it was atrocious. I mean, they would walk around, no offense. I did that for 3 months. I trekked an hour and a half every other week, but I did it mostly because I was uh, bringing Sundance, as a 4-year-old. I had her a year back in, and I just wanted something really slow. And she was awesome with trail riding and awesome with trailering, and so I took her, but it was horrific because it's just very different. I was not impressed at all with that level of centered riding. That was just my experience. Didn't get a whole lot out of it, but I wanted to see what it was all about. And of course, I took Mary Wanless clinics and I got her books. Yeah, I still dove in deeper. I got the gist of it. And so now you're learning a real balanced seat in my program without a saddle, but we're first going to develop the horse's balance. Okay, so that I want you all to experience what it's like to ride a horse that picks you up into the movement like a cloud and doesn't just bury you forward, or like the gaited horse. I don't care what breed they are, that they can be so choppy and feel like 5 different body parts moving all at once. We don't want that. We want the gait to be really smooth. All right. So there we have the tutorial for all of that. Bonuses, starting the young horse course. You get 2 unedited clinics of mine with horses I've never worked with before, some of them. And you also get, well, the riding is one. That's basically your program. So you get to see it in action with students lunging and then just doing walk to trot and stop and back up. It's really nice. No cantering. It's basic, but it's really nice. And there is a tutorial with that, which is right here. So that's pretty good. Bonus, you get my Holistic Horsemanship mini series. So this is a prelude to the big program. It's kind of like the cart before the horse. I did this just a couple of years ago. Program's so big. I'm like, gosh, I got to design something that could at least, focus on 7 core areas of the program. And there's no riding. It doesn't focus on any of that, but it's pretty big, pretty comprehensive. But this is a great way to get started. And you'll actually want to start here too. And then it has a workbook for you. All right. So I'm not going to recap all of this. Like I said, there's going to be, or maybe I didn't say this, part of your 2 gifts is one, I'm recording this. So I'll be sending this out. A recap of what's included. It's huge. You guys can look at this. Again, what makes it work is my method is spiritual, holistic, scientific, and classical. You can go on the website too. And this is just a video. It's on YouTube. I'm not going to go through that right now. Student testimonies. Oh my gosh, there's so many. So many students have been so happy with the program. It's life-changing. And lots of videos. You guys can look at these at your leisure. Ready to begin developing the relationship and writing partnership of your dreams? You will when you begin my program. So it's broken down into 3 levels. You have the silver packages, silver, gold, and platinum. Silver is a yearly at $4.99. It's a yearly. There are no bonuses. I know you'll see what I'm saying. You do get the bonus with the mini series, but there's no extra bonuses. So it's $500 for the year. You get the full program. You get the full program in all of these. The gold, you get lifetime access with the gold and lifetime with the platinum. The difference is you get bonus courses added. So with the gold package, you also get a bonus course of my bitless balanced confident rider course. So what I did is, even though a lot of the lessons are already taught in the program, there's 30 additional lessons that really sum it all up. Bitless balanced confident rider course. So that's an extra bonus if you purchase the gold. And the platinum is for apprentices, trainers, passionate learners. They're the ones that, just want the whole thing. And so you get lifetime access with that. You get all of my online courses. Remember, this is the big apprenticeship program. And then you get the 5 bonus courses in addition. So you've got the bitless balance course, the off the track retraining course, which you can use for any retraining horse, not just the thoroughbred. The young horse retraining course, Taming the Wild Horse. I have a documentary with the little wild Mustang. And then you get my video library. You get a lifetime of that. That's huge. So the video library consists of, oh my gosh, there are some problem-solving videos are in the video library, but there's 300 or 400 additional videos, and they're broken down into categories. And what's cool about the video library is it's not a step-by-step. It's not really a how-to exactly, but every one of those videos is a result of the program. So if you're doing the program and you're like, oh my gosh, I really am struggling with my horse in this particular area, and I'm not seeing it right now in the problem solving, you could go to the video library and probably see it there. Oh, what's also great about the video library is I have some short courses in there on maybe 5 or 7 case studies of retraining the traumatized riding horse. 5 or 7 case studies. So you get to see, you get to see how I apply the program step by step to these horses, all different personalities. So you're going to get your second special offer. The first is the recording, but the second special offer is, what time is it? By 9 o'clock, you're going to get your email giving you a discount on all 3 of these. So that's this big special.
Another half hour.
And do we have any questions? I know I've got some printed out that were submitted to me. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to close this presentation down. So let me see. I think there's a thank you, slide 60. Thank you, Mr. Zornine. Thank you. I'm going to stop the share. And I am going to be all yours. So I've got a couple of submissions here. Brigitte, are you still here? Yeah, I see. She may not be here, but again, I'm going to be recording. You guys can all unmute yourself if you like. Show your beautiful faces. Ask me, which is a spiritual course included? Melissa is included in all 4 packages, the yearly and both the lifetimes. Yeah, the spirituality is part of the method, so it's in there. Yeah. Yeah, it's in there. I was just going to say I can't backtrack and show you all that, but it's in there. Oh yeah, especially in the intro too. It gets expanded. I slowly bring you into the teachings and everything that I work with, and the energy and how I work with it with the horse, and the meditation that I choose, which will help you be an excellent rider. I have only one specific meditation. It's called the Taoist Reverse Breath. It's the only meditation that I use and that I teach. And it's how we become really fluid in our bodies and fluid as a rider. But you're going to learn it on the ground with your horse first. Which course you might? Well, that's a great, hold on, guys. Let me go back then. Let me share it real quick, the presentation again.
I'm going to learn.
Let me see if I can go to this one. No, I'm going to go to this one. Excuse me. So hold on for a second. This is big. So here we are. Can you guys see all these packages? You got the silver, gold, and platinum. They include everything. The only difference with the gold and platinum is their lifetime, and they have extra bonus courses. So what is everything? Let me go back to, great questions. a recap.
Are you
Let's get
going
out of all this.
How about mastery membership program? I think
I gotta get back to.
I don't know.
So here's a recap. You get the spirituality of horsemanship. You get the Tao method, which is basically where we really get into the mechanics of the groundwork. Liberty. You get the art of lunging. And you get, if you choose the gold package, and you're going to get special offers at 9 o'clock, discounts. If you choose the gold package, you're going to get, let's go back up to that one. You're going to get the bitless balanced rider course. Now, remember, you already have a ton of the bitless riding in the program itself, right? The Tao method, second course. Wow. How do you take the first course of spirituality of horsemanship and the heart coherence and the energy and the preliminary work? How do you take that? You're going to take that into the second course. You're going to take all of that holism and way of being and energy work and connection with the horse into the second. And that's all of your groundwork, your liberty, your in-hand work, your riding. And so the bitless program just takes it a little bit further. Now, the platinum, you get all of my courses. So remember, the program is huge, right? Remember, the program's a program. But then I have all these additional courses. I have the bitless balance riding course. That's its own course. I have the spirituality of horsemanship. That's its own course. I've got the OTTB retraining course, the wild horse. All of those are separately sold. But the spirituality is included in all of these packages because it's the foundation of my work. And then the bitless is an extra bonus for the gold. And then you have all my courses as extra bonuses for the platinum. Does that make sense? Let me stop that share. So it's not which course I recommend. Yeah, Heidi has the gold. Which course I recommend? I recommend that you purchase either the silver, gold, or the platinum. It's up to you. Do you want all these additional courses? Just know that the big program has everything. Let me see if I can reduce this. Let me get out of this PowerPoint. And let me share the web page with you guys. And I'll just do this just in case if there's anything else that I want to get to. You guys can see my web page now. This is the program. So you can read this too. This is huge. Let me go ahead and put this in the chat. All right, so this is the Dream Writing Partnership Program web page. This is huge, okay? So here's your holism, science, and classical training. It's going to break down everything for you, your testimonials, all these areas, what you're going to work on, spirituality. First one is attunement and presence. You're going to work on spirituality, then understanding horses, liberty, join up, and connection. Then you're going to work on groundwork and shaping behavior. Then the art of lunging, writing is one, and the truth of the relationship. This is where you test things. So that's all included in the big program, all of this. So here's a breakdown. Intro, 1, 2, and 3. Courses 1 through 6. But these are courses within the program. You're getting additional courses when you sign up for certain packages. So you automatically get spirituality, the Tao training, the art of lunging, the contact, the problem solving 1 and 2. All of that's included in the big program. Plus these bonuses. There's a lot, isn't there? Starting the Young Horse, Connection Workshop, Riding is One Clinic, and then the Horsemanship mini-series. All of this is included in the program. So when you go to buy it, you can say, hey, I'm getting all that, but I also want the bitless balanced confident rider course. And hey, wait a minute, I want all these other courses. Here they are. So these are the ones that you can buy by themselves. They're $500 each, except for the big program. So I hope that's
You
not
want
too
to speak
confusing.
into
It's a lot. You get a lot. That's why I created all the value here because it's a lot. I want you guys, I want you to have this.